does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, another special Kickstarter review. And today I'm very excited to be checking out Dead Drop from Crash Games. This is going to be coming to a Kickstarter near you. Actually, it's on a Kickstarter right now. It is for 2 to 4 players. Ages, I'd say about 8 and up, and it'll take you about 20 to 30 minutes to play. And in Dead Drop, you are going to be playing as spies with top secret information, trying to figure out what the card in the middle of the table is before anyone else can, and then picking it up. But be wary, if you're wrong, you will be eliminated from the round. Sound intriguing? Let's open it up and see how it works.
Alright, and we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Dead Drop. As I always like to mention, this is the promotional copy I have in front of me. The copy that gets to you very well may look different. So, first and foremost, we have our handy-dandy rule sheet. It is one page, single-sided. Nothing fancy here, but it's a very, very simple game, very simple rule sheet. This will have you up and running in no time. So, what are you going to be doing in Dead Drop? It's a micro game, so you're only going to get a set number of cards. But what are you going to be doing? You are going to be trying to figure out what this card right here, the Dead Drop, is, and then you're going to try and get cards in your hand, 2 of them, to equal that number. And if you can successfully do that before anyone else, then you're going to be the winner of that round, and you will gain a cube. What am I talking about? We'll go into the components, then we'll go into the gameplay, and you'll figure out exactly what I'm talking about. First and foremost, we're going to have a handy, we already went over the rule sheet, but you're going to have this little helper card, which is incredibly useful. You'll probably need the rule sheet once and then never again, because this will tell you everything you need to know. On this side, it's going to share the 3 actions you can do, which we'll get into in a minute, and this one is going to tell you how you can win the game by grabbing the drop, aka this card right here. You do that at the end of your turn. Next, you'll have the setup, so you know how to set up the cards, and it will show you exactly how many of each card there are in the game. You're going to get 13 of these cards that you see out in front of you, so let's take a look at one so you can see exactly what's on here. First, you got the nice little spy artwork, because this is about spies, but the important thing to notice is that this is the 1, and there are going to be 3 ones in the deck. So there are 2 other cards like this out there, and, well, look, there's one right there, so that would be great. So let's take a look at what's going to be in your hand. First, when you set out the game, in a 2-player game, you're going to have 2 cards in what's called the stash. This is the stash right here. In a 3-player game, like we got set up, you're going to have 3 cards in the stash. In the 4-player game, you're going to have 4 cards in the stash. So the more players you have, the more cards you're going to have in the stash. And this is just public knowledge that will change throughout the game. So we'll take a look at this guy's hand. We'll pretend we're playing as him. He's got a 1, a 0, and a 3. This is a pretty good starting hand. He knows for a fact that this card right here is not a 1. Nothing is going to change that. He now has 1 completely ruled out. He also knows that there's only 1 more 3 somewhere out there. So on his turn, what's he going to be able to do? On your turn, you're going to be able to do 1 of 3 actions. So we'll go over those real quick, and then that's pretty much it. The first action you're going to be able to do is share info. What this means is you're going to be able to trade 1 card from your hand to someone else. And they don't have a choice in this. They have to trade you a card. So you put this card face down and say, I'm going to trade you right here. Now, you are trading them a card. They don't know what card they're going to get. And they're going to give you back 1 of their cards, whichever one they decide to do. So you don't know what card you're going to get, and they don't know what card they're going to get. But then you take a look at it, and we got a 5. That's really useful information because there's only 1 5. So now I know that it's not a 1 and it's not a 5. So it either has to be a 0, a 2, a 3, or a 4. So that's the first thing you do is you can share info. Next, you can swap the stash. This is when you're going to trade 1 card from your hand with 1 card out in the stash. Now the thing about this one is you're going to be giving people valuable information. Like when you do this move, you're only giving 1 person information, but if you're doing this, you're going to be giving someone valuable information. Normally when you're pulling off this move of taking a card from the stash and putting a new one out there, it's when you're right before you're about to guess what the dead drop is. So, for instance, we might say, oh, I'm going to trade out this 5 for this 1. There's really no good reason to do that, but we're going to do it anyway. Well, unless we thought maybe this was a 2, but we'll get more into that later. So that's what you can do. You can swap a card from the stash. And as I mentioned, you only can do 1 action per turn. So as soon as you did that, it would be the next player's turn. The final action you can do is you can sell secrets. Now what this means is you are going to reveal 2 cards from your hand to another player. And they're going to tally up those cards. So right now these 2 added up would be a 2. And then they're going to look at their hand and they're going to see if they have a number 2 anywhere in their hand. Since they do, they would say yes. And that's all they'd say. No one else knows what's going on beside you and this guy. But the thing is, you're also giving them very valuable information because they now know that there are 2 1s in your hand. So they would, oh, it's not a 1. This is not a 1. So that's the last move you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to share info. You're going to be able to swap the stash, and then you're going to be able to sell secrets. Now, what do you do when you think you may know what the dead drop is? After you take your action, you have the option to place 2 cards from your hand face up next to the drop. So let's just say I think this is a 2. So you're going to do that. You go boom, boom, and then you are going to look at this card secretly. You're going to look at this card secretly, and if it's a 2, then I would have won this round, but I lost. What this means is I'm going to put this card back down, and I am eliminated. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to reveal this last card, put it into the stash, and there's going to be 1 of 2 players who are going to be able to win the game. And most likely with this much information, they'll probably be able to figure out what this is. But you're going to continue to do this, and once someone's guessed what the 3 is, they'll get a cube. The first person to get 3 cubes is going to be the winner of Dead Drop. And that is how Dead Drop is played.
Alrighty then, Dead Drop from Crash Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. The obvious one is this is a micro game. You're only going to be getting 13 cards that impact the game and some cubes. So if you're looking for more, if you're looking for more strategy, more expansive things in your game, this one might not be for you. Also, this is a game where we're going to be doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. If you're looking for more choices, more variety, this one isn't going to be for you. Last but not least, I would not recommend this as a 2-player game, and I'll tell you why. We ran into the situation 2 or 3 times where one person on their very first turn would ask a question, and then the other person, based on the question they asked or what they did, would know immediately what the dead drop is, make 1 move, and win the game. This happened, I believe, 3 times. You know, I understand that it was clever that they deducted based on one question what it was, but it just felt cheap. And in a 3- and 4-player game, moving on to the pros, that does not happen. I definitely can recommend Dead Drop if you're looking for a 3- and 4-player micro game. Let me get that out of the way. What do I like about the game? I like the artwork. I like the rule sheet, which is good. It's very serviceable. But more importantly, I like this helper card. This might be the best helper card I've ever seen because it's such a good helper card, and this is such a simple game that you can almost completely learn how to play the game with just this card. Now granted, you are going to need the rule sheet the first time you use it, but after that, this is pretty much all you're going to use. I also like how quick this game is. This is an extremely quick game. You'll probably play maybe 4 or 5 rounds and then someone's going to get the correct answer. Another thing I liked about this game was you don't necessarily need to know exactly what the dead drop is to win. You might have it narrowed down to say 2 numbers, but you don't want this guy to get a cube. You can just say, you know what, I'm going to guess. And as long as you have the numbers in order to guess, then you can guess and you can win the cube potentially, which I liked an awful lot. Last but not least, I like how quick this game was to set up. It really is absolutely super quick at any player count, 2 to 4 players, because you just shuffle it up and then you deal out boom, 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 this many cards, this many players. You put the 1 in the middle, you put out the stash, and then you're ready to go. You start doing actions, and the game's over before you know it. Overall, Dead Drop from Crash Games is a very fun little micro game that I will plan on keeping on my shelf. I enjoy it quite a bit. If it looks like it might be your cup of tea and in your market for a micro game, be sure to click on the Kickstarter link below and tell them Bowers Game Corner sent you. Also, in the comments below, let me know your favorite micro game, especially if it's an obscure one, because I'd like to find out more about some of these micro games, because I'm really digging a few of them. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below. As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.
That was the review for Dead Drop. For more reviews and previews, check back at Bowers Game Corner. Dead Drop.
Sorry for throwing a pen at you.